What's going on, guys? JHoyt back with you today. Welcome back to some Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and like a couple of videos before, we're not talking in the actual gameplay because it's another clip from my live stream. So if you haven't followed me yet over on Twitch, make sure you do so. Link in the description down below. I'm hoping to be streaming very soon. Hopefully tomorrow, I think. I don't know yet. But either way, we're here to talk about Call of Duty Modern Warfare as a whole. Now, everyone kind of is frustrated with this game with the lack of support and, you know, there's just the overall game just not being good. We've had our first kind of big update 9 months into this game, and people are not really happy with it. But this kind of goes back to how this game was made. Usually, you know, the developer comes out and it's like, oh yeah, we made this for that reason or whatever. So we found a post, well not we, I don't know who's we. I found a post on Reddit actually from, who is this from? From Bodied, I don't know who that is. But as you can see on your screen now, that Modern Warfare, and this is the title, it says, reminder, Modern Warfare was designed for the lower skill player. From skill-based matchmaking to the spawn system, to the map design, to the gunplay, it was all designed for the lower skill player. So before even reading the small article at the bottom, what does that mean, right? A lower skill player. So a player that gets on, is okay, but they're not really the greatest. Maybe they're hovering around like a 0.7, 0.8 KD, and maybe they just like playing some of the other game modes that aren't really the competitive ones, and you know, they're decent, right? They're not really good. But then in this game, there's skill-based matchmaking. Now you have all heard my frustration with skill-based matchmaking in Fortnite, but in this case, in Call of Duty, right, Call of Duty's always been a game where you had random lobbies, right? You could be with 5 other fantastic players, and maybe yourself or one of them doesn't go off as usual, as you normally would. But instead, you know, that one game you do a little bit worse, but then the next game you might have 5 complete bots on your team. So I don't know. I mean, especially for public matches, it should be totally random, right? It does not matter who you get matched with in your game, it should be random. The next thing, the spawn system. So they have I think it's called squad-based spawn system, which overall does not make sense at all. Like, if you control an entire half of the map and you keep slaying them out, they should not be able to spawn behind you because one spawn's open. That does not make sense, right? Like, this is not a good competitive game at all. So the spawn system doesn't make sense. Then you move on to the map design. Oh my goodness, this game's maps are atrocious, right? Like, usually you complain about, you know, a couple of the maps here and there. Like, the competitive maps usually are the best maps in the game. Like, they actually make sense, they play well. But the maps in this game, yikes. Then the map design, I guess they call it, there's a lot of doors. There's a lot, I mean, doors make sense. Like, I'm glad they are in the game, but they're also kind of annoying at the same time. Then you have tons of spots. You can sit in buildings and sit on things and around things, and lots of staircases and hallways, and just no, just please, just no. What else did this guy say? And the gunplay. So pretty much every gun in the game can, like, 2 or 3 bullet any player at any time, no matter if they're weak or not. So immediately off the headline, this game doesn't make sense. But then you get into the meat and potatoes of this. You get into why, like, from the developer themselves, why is the game made this way? And a quote from, I think his name is Joseph Secott. I don't know what his exact title is at Infinity Ward. But they said, and I quote, "We want to get the new players in the game. We don't want them to get punched in the mouth over and over again until they leave," says that guy. "That's a big focus for us. Our weapons are a bit more lethal than in Black Ops, and that helps a lower skill player get a kill and have some success." And then on the bottom, he says, after that little advertisement that got closed or whatever, the decision was also affected the design of the maps. We want those players to have a safe place to take their time. What? Hold on. Before we even get to that last part, let's start at the beginning. We want new players in the game. Okay, so how are you going to do that? By making them feel like they're good in this game, then immediately once they go to the next Call of Duty, which is Call of Duty Cold War or whatever heck it's going to be called, the next Call of Duty, they're going to go in that game and get smoked, right? They're not going to know how to play Call of Duty, and they're going to suck with pretty much every single gun in the game, because this game allows a lot of players to feel like they're like really good players when they have horrible positioning and they just sprint at people and get super lucky with the super fast time to kill. So, like, they're going to get punched in the mouth next year. I mean, I know they're not making the next year's Call of Duty, but they're going to get smoked next year. 100%. Same with a lot of pros. They're going to get smoked. The next thing, we don't want them to get punched in the mouth over and over until they leave. Well, maybe if there was a better way or some type of way that these players that aren't very good to get good. So I know in a couple of Call of Duties they had like a firing range, or was it Advanced Warfare? They called it something else, I think. But that firing range before the maps definitely helped, right? There's a, I don't remember what they call it in Valorant, but they have a before the game shoot around area, and it's got a whole bunch of stuff where you practice your movement, your shot, your recoil control, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And just, it just doesn't make sense. Like, why does other games work, but this one doesn't? So, I don't know where they're thinking about that. Like, they don't want to get punched in the face over and over and over again. Well, yeah, but they also want to, like, you know, maybe get good at the game and not have to just get destroyed all the time. So maybe if you allow them to get better and maybe introduce a different way for them to learn how to play the game, or have like tips and tricks, or, you know, whatever the case may be, let them have that. But don't make the game all around the new players, right? You don't want to make people all of a sudden enjoy your game, but then, you know, hate the next one because it's not the same thing. So that just does not make sense. Then he says that's a big focus for us of wanting to get those new players in, which is totally understandable. Obviously, you want new players on your game, but not at the expense of making other people leave your game. That doesn't make sense. Then he says our weapons are a bit more lethal than Black Ops. I mean, the guns in this game, like I said, every single gun can, 3 or 4 bullet, and every gun's viable for the most part. Like, if you have decent attachments, I mean, even with like most attachments in the game, everything is viable, which is just stupid, right? There should be a good set of guns that you use that make sense. They shouldn't have to have 8 different assault rifles in the game, and just does not make sense to me. And that helps a lower skilled player get a kill and have some success. Yeah, but then you have these same cracked out little Timmies that think they're great when they just walk up to somebody and 3 bullet, where they have no movement, but maybe they get the first shot off, where usually you could turn and snap on them, you could drop shot, jump shot, slide away and destroy them. You can't do that in this game, right? Once you get hit, unless you're already behind cover, you're screwed. Like, there's nothing you can do. The next thing, that decision was also affected the design of the map. So you thought because new players suck that you would design the map so they have little campy spots that they could sit in buildings with claymores and C4 and heartbeat sensors and all this other dumb crap. You thought that was a good idea. Gonna have to disagree with you that one there, bud. But overall, this game was made for terrible players, right? This game was made so that the terrible players could get a couple of kills, feel like they're actually doing well, and then basically like lead them on with false hope. Basically, right? The guns are overpowered, or all the guns are viable. The maps suck, but are good for new players so they can sit in buildings with dumb crap. What else did they say? And they want to get new players in the game. Well, getting new players in the game shouldn't have to be at the expense of those hardcore grinders that, stay on the game and play other stuff. And that's why Valorant got so big instantly, is because like they did a lot of amazing things right off the start in beta. And Call of Duty's been out for how long? And yet we just can't perfect a game in the time frame, which just doesn't make sense. And then the maps, just yikes. But overall, it just it's super frustrating. But hopefully, when the new Call of Duty comes out, that some of our prayers and thoughts and everything will get answered. Hopefully, they make a good Call of Duty that actually makes sense, and that at least most people enjoy, and that makes sense competitively with league play. Because holy crap, Infinity Ward, you dropped the ball on this one. But anyway, guys, that's gonna be all for me today. And with that all being said, I'm gonna wrap this one up here. If you did enjoy, hit that like button down below if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button, and as always, guys, we'll see you next time.